Good evening and welcome. So sorry for the delay, but you know how it is with technology. Although I have to say sometimes it's the operator, not the operation. I'll leave it at that. So good evening and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me for this evening's, session 4 of Are You Being Loved Up by You? And tonight's guest, I'm so thrilled about being the wonderful, delicious Denise Harris. Why is she delicious? Because she's so sweet. She's so kind. She is a business, and let me just get a sip of water. Sorry about that. She is a business and personal development coach. She happens to be my coach as well. So, you know, I was taught by the best. And we're going to talk a little bit about values tonight, really explore what that means to most of us, some of us, actually all of us, but we don't necessarily know that's what it's about. But before we go forward, I just wanted to mention that tonight in the UK, it is Guy Fawkes Night, the 5th of November. And you'll hear a lot of fireworks and all sorts of stuff going on. So if you hear it, there's nothing going on in the house. There's not fire. It's just fireworks happening outside. Not much I can do. But without further ado, let me bring to the screen the wonderful Denise Harris. Denise, good evening, good evening, good evening.
Good evening, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for coming. It's so great to have you tonight. And you know how dear you are to my heart. So I'm glad that we're doing this tonight. So, you know, can you tell the viewers a little bit about where you're from and where you live? Okay,
so I'm from the UK and I live in London, actually in London, Surrey border. Yeah, born and bred London, yes.
Okay. And what's the term, are you being loved up by you, mean to you?
Being loved up means probably the way I treat my boys, being loved up so they feel happy and excited and have a joie de vivre. You know, when you're just feeling loved up, you just feel wonderful.
Oh, I love that. I want to be one of your boys. I love that. And can you tell the audience a little bit about where we met? Do you remember that, where we met?
Oh, yes, I remember. We both did an anthology, the global anthology together. And we were one of the few that were in the UK. And the beautiful Gwen reached out to all the UK authors. I think there were 8 of us. And we've been, and we meet up every year since we've done that. Yeah. So.
And what a wonderful experience, you know. I mean, my life is richer for having written that chapter in the anthology, also having you, the other authors, and of course, as you said, the wonderful Gwen that brought us all together. And don't worry, audience, we'll get to meet the wonderful Gwen in a few more weeks. But back to Denise. Denise, tell me, I know you have a business. This is called Resonant Living. Can you tell the audience what resonance means? Because they may not be familiar with the term to be in resonance.
Right. Okay. Well, resonance is all about your vibration. And when you're living at a higher vibration, you tend to get the things that you want in life. And if your resonance is really low, like the law of vibration, the law of resonance means that what you're putting out generally is going to come back to you. So if you're of a really low vibration, life's not going to be so great all the time. And if you're around people who are low vibration, we all know what that's like, right? So resonance, being in resonance is actually reminding ourselves to be in resonance with who we truly are, and who we truly are is of a much higher vibration than we allow ourselves to sometimes. And it's about remembering to keep our vibration up and doing those things that heighten and increase our vibration.
And could you give us an example of one thing that you could do to increase your vibration?
Oh, anything you love, right? So meditate, if you love going out for a walk, being in nature, socializing, being with your friends, watching your favorite movie. I mean, I can go on, having a spa day, all those things that make you feel good and raise your vibration.
Absolutely. And for those of you that are watching that are not in the UK, we are currently under a supposed 4-week lockdown. We don't really know how long it'll be, but, related to what Denise is saying, Denise, if I'm wrong, but, being in resonance, here's a perfect example of staying positive during this time, not focusing on the negative and what you can't do and what you don't have and where you can't go, but instead being grateful for what we have, right? And just staying in the positive. And like you said, doing the things that we love.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so we're in lockdown, but we can still go out to nature. There's lots of things we can do and look at it as, a challenge to remind ourselves, okay, we're adaptable, right? We're adaptable.
That's right, we are. And we forget that.
Yeah.
So can I ask you, do you have a spiritual practice or a ritual that you do on a daily or weekly basis?
Yes, I meditate daily and I do visualizations. So meditation's a big one for me. If I don't meditate, my day is not quite the same.
I just wanted to interject for a minute because we have some comments from the audience. Someone saying, hi, Denise, another viewer, so good to see you. Hi, ladies. Congrats on being authors. And someone else said, it's great advice keeping your vibration high. So that's great. Thanks, listeners. Please, continue with the comments. And don't, sorry if I interrupt, but just so that they know that they're still involved and we're keeping them in what we're doing.
Right. That's fine. Yeah.
So let's talk about the topic at hand, values. And I've had many conversations about how important these are to me and to you, but it's one of the things that I would say is one of your core values. It's values. So can you tell us a little bit about values in terms of self-love or just in terms of life?
Well, but you keep cutting out every now and then, so sometimes I'm straining to hear. But values influence everything we do, what we think, and our perspective on life, how we live our lives, and it motivates us. So our values, for me, I think, are really important because, for instance, my values are love, integrity, and wisdom. And I'd be interested to hear what your listeners' values are. But for me, I come from a place of love, and everything I do has to be something I love. If integrity is really important to me, and so I'm always honest and trustworthy, and all those things that integrity are, and also wisdom's important to me, and so I'm an avid learner, and I'm always looking for ancient wisdom. How can I learn all the time? And I find I attract people that are full of wisdom, and so if they are out of alignment, I'm not happy, right? So if I'm doing something and I'm not doing it from a place of love, if it doesn't have integrity and I'm not gaining some wisdom, it doesn't work, right? And that's when people get upset, sad, and angry, is because they're out of alignment with their values. So it's really important to understand what your core values are. Of course, that my core are 3, but people can have more than 3 values. That's just my core values. And sometimes someone might rub you up the wrong way. And I remember an incident, actually. There was a person, I think we both know this person, and I just couldn't get on with her. I mean, there was nothing wrong with her, and she did something, and it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about her. And then I realized she went against all my core values, what she was doing, right? And so, who am I to judge? That's, everybody's different. My values aren't her values, but I just couldn't get on with her because it was like, no, that doesn't work for me.
Absolutely. When I'm coaching my clients, I talk to them about the values being sort of the pinnacle, the base of everything they're going to move forward with. If you want to be in a relationship with somebody else, you have to know what your own values are first before you can move forward with another. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a love interest. It's even your children or your teenagers. I know a lot of our viewers are struggling with their teenagers right now. Everybody has something to say, wants to be in charge. They want to be older than they are, and you have to go back to your values and think about how you're handling the situation with them. So There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot. So I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Apologize. Go
So,
ahead.
I know, and also our values change, as you mentioned, teenagers. I mean, my values when I was a teenager are not the values now, right? And so, you know, when we were a teenager, did I value love? Nah, I wasn't interested at that time, right? Integrity, wisdom, definitely not. Mine was like freedom, right? And I wanted to travel and all those things. And so as we grow and have different experiences, our values may change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's really important that you mentioned that, because, you know, you evolve. So as you evolve, things change. And also, as you said, your values change. So someone mentioned, Denise, those values. Thanks for reminding me. Someone else said great values. And one of our guests, Joanna, said gratitude and love are among her top values, which are really lovely ones, aren't they? They're really, really nice.
Good. So for Joanna, if someone's not coming from a place for love, from a place of love, it doesn't work. And if she's not grateful, and then people aren't grateful for her, then I guess then that's when she feels out of alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so important. I love that. And I think we've got another comment here. Can you give us some tips on meditating? I must have missed that a bit earlier. Someone wanted to give some tips about meditating.
Yeah, I think one of the problems with meditating that people struggle with is they think they have to sit down and completely clear their mind in a Zen yoga position for, you know, and I would say start slowly. Just start, sit still, focus on your breath, and take it a few minutes at a time. If you can only do 5 minutes, just sit, breathe, focus on your breath for 5 minutes, and maybe the next day, extend it. Maybe you can go for 7 minutes or 10 minutes. And the more you do it, is the easier it becomes. So start by focusing on your breath.
Great. That's wonderful advice. And I love, sometimes I think about when you're meditating, think of there being a stream. So, you know, when you have those thoughts, just think of it as a stream, just kind of wandering on and on its way. Just don't hold on to it. Just let it go down the stream.
Excellent. Yeah. Or just let it stop. Go, okay, thank you. Off you go. Just thank it. Off you go. I'll come back to you later. Yeah, if it's important, I'll come back to you later. Yeah.
And so, Denise, especially during this period of lockdown that we're going through, and for those of our viewers in the States, you know, they're going through the election right now, a bit of uncertainty, not quite sure who's going to win and what's going to happen. But with all these things that are changing, all that's going on, what one thing would you impart with the audience about challenging times? Do you have a piece of advice that you'd like to impart with them?
From my experience, all challenging times, there's always been a gift at the end of it. So maybe there was something you need to change, something's not working for you in your life, and this challenge is an opportunity to actually change something that's not working for the better. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. So whenever I have a challenge, Michelle, I go, okay, bring it on. So the quicker I bring it on, it's like I can get to the other side much faster. Okay, I got this. I will get the lesson, and let's move on. Right?
Absolutely. And that's such great advice. I love that. We also have a viewer that just said, start with a little at a time and the rest will come.
Yeah. Very good advice.
Yeah. I love that. What do you say about the people that are feeling anxious during this time? Because, a lot of fear has been put into us, whether it's around the election, whether it's around lockdown, people are running out and shopping like lunatics. All the stuff they were doing before. What would you sort of say about people that are feeling anxious and fearful during the time?
Well, one of the things that when you raise your vibration and you're feeling happy, you're doing the things that you love, it's less, it's not so easy to go into that fear mode. And remember, don't allow other people's fear to be yours. Don't take it on, right? Don't let their model of the world be yours, right? So you can choose, you can change your state at any time. So do I want to be in this fear mode? No. I mean, this week has been pretty awful. And there's a lot of people gone into fear and woe is me. It's like, hang on a minute. Okay, yes, it's a challenging time. I was going to say, like an adventure. So the boys, when it's challenging, it's like, okay, just, what is this here to teach us? What can we do? We're adaptable. Yeah. Well, let's not go into fear. What's the opposite of fear? What can we do around this that will make us happy? Look how many people did so much. They learned so much. They did different courses. They actually pivoted the businesses. They realized they were in jobs that they didn't actually enjoy. And it gave them time to sit still and go, actually, I'd love to do that. Can I? Oh, there's a course. I can. Oh, look what's possible now.
Oh, have the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so key. And I love that you said, do the opposite of fear, and the opposite of fear is love. So if you do something that you love, or you do something with love, you do back yourself positive ways. It doesn't have to be negative unless you choose to make it negative.
Yeah, exactly.
So outside the box a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not saying, that it isn't scary what's going on, but we can say, okay, things are not going to be the same. Just change. We're just evolving. We're changing, and we'll just adapt. We did before. We'll do it again.
That's right. That's right. And we've just done it, so we can do it again. So we come to the part and I ask you my favorite question. And the question is, Eleanor Roosevelt says, comparison is the thief of joy. So when I hear that statement, we're talking about something that can be the negative, and I want to turn it into a positive. So Denise, what or who would you liken yourself to, as opposed to compare yourself to?
I would probably liken myself to an oak tree.
Ooh.
And I love oak trees. They're full of wisdom. They stand strong in the storm, and they weather different types of weather, and they still stand strong. I used to have a massive oak tree. I used to watch, I'd watch it, the leaves would go, and then it'd come back the next season, beautiful, deep roots, and obviously the roots of the trees, of the oak tree, they connect to other trees that nourish and get wisdom from. So, yeah. And so it's like those connections. So I probably liken myself to an oak tree. Yeah.
I love that. I can see that visual of the tree just sort of swaying in the breeze and then standing firm with all its leaves during the winter, and then coming back little by little with little specks of colour. Lovely, beautiful.
Strong but waving and full of wisdom. Yeah, and I love being around trees, oak trees. Just nice energy.
Well, you do love nature, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And you know what? We are at the end of our questions, but I wanted to ask you an additional question because I think this is relevant to what we're talking about here in terms of nature. And one of the things that I know that you're amazing at is grounding, being in nature and grounding. And I'd love it if you could tell the audience a little bit about what grounding means to you, or an example of when you do grounding, perhaps.
Oh, I ground a lot, especially with the energies around at the moment. I ground a lot. And there are lots of ways you can ground. You don't actually have to, if you don't have a forest nearby, you can just imagine being in the forest and standing, and the roots at the bottom of your feet going all the way into the center of the earth, and just feeling completely grounded and still.
And what does that do for you when someone does that?
What does grounding do for you?
Yeah, what's the purpose of grounding for those who may not know what the term
is?
You
feel, that feeling where you feel off balance and scattered, and things don't feel right, and it's like, God, it's a good question. I know the feeling. I don't really actually described it. You just know. Yeah.
And it plants you firmly, doesn't it?
Yeah. You don't feel so scattered.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. So before we wrap up, I just want to tell you some of the feedback we've got here. Great values, great tips. Thank you very much. Wonderful advice. Don't take on others' fears. of the opposite. Do something you love. They love that. And Joanna commented again, I love the oak tree comparison. It's so true. And someone else, unfortunately, if you haven't signed into StreamYard, I can't see who's making the comment, but somebody else said, wow, this is the first time I heard about grounding. There's Joanna's comment right there. I'm putting it on the screen for you to see. And here's another one. Wow, I need that grounding. So I don't know who you are, but
yeah, I think a lot of people need grounding right now.
Yeah, we can definitely help you with that. If you want to reach out to Denise, Denise is on Facebook under Resonant Living, and her phone number is, if you want to reach out to her directly,
07722 565757.
Don't worry, we will post that afterwards. It's so amazing. She doesn't even need a website, so you can just.
No, I do have a website. It's just being done at the moment. So if you wait a week, you can check my website, www.resonantliving.co.uk. But okay.
The website.
Right, okay.
Denise, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your truth, and for always having integrity, because those are your values and we love you for them. So thank you so much. And for being my guest, I will be offering you a bottle of doTERRA oil. I don't have the oils in front because I forgot to pull them out. But, you have the choice of lemon or wild orange.
I think I'll have a lemon.
Oh, lemon it is.
Thank you so much.
And the audience are also saying thank you to you. So I'm sure you touched a few people's hearts. And again, guys, please put comments in the chat here and let us know. And Denise can come back to you with any questions or answers to any questions that you may have. So Denise, again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Most welcome.
And hopefully we'll have you back again soon.
It would be my pleasure. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you. And so everyone, thanks again for joining us tonight on Are You Being Loved Up? So sorry for the delay, but those of you who are watching it on the replay, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, feel free to put comments. We will be checking and coming back to you. And for those of you that were live, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure. See you next week.